Hi, this is Patsy's podcast, my very first episode. I'm extremely excited to be hearing voices from the university space and from people all over around the world. This first episode will be speaking on grief. Grief, not the club I thought I would be in during my 20s. That's brought to you by the Grief Space. A little bit hectic for a first timer, but I believe these conversations just need to be heard and learned from. So welcome. And I hope you enjoy. This is Patsy's podcast, and today I've got like wonderful guests with me, from different places, different ages, of course, all from UCT. It's so nice to have you guys here. If all of you can just introduce yourselves one by one, that would be great.
Hello, everybody. I am Vuyelwa Dlamini, aka V.
Hi, everyone. I'm Gugu Mnisi, but you can call me Patsy.
Hi, guys. I'm Constance Mube, but you can call me Connie.
Hi everybody, my name is Surprise Gugu Mnisi, but you can call me Gugu.
Okay guys, again, just like thanks for everyone for coming.
You're welcome.
I know it's something unexpected, but as I said, it's free space. I hope everyone is just willing to share. I am. But anyway, we're gonna be talking about grief, and I think like many of us have experienced grief in like different ways and different forms, and we've dealt with it also quite differently. Us worse than others, and it doesn't matter really, but I found some very interesting things in my time, in my period of grief, right? And I've actually discovered times where I didn't know it was grief, but it was grief that I was feeling. And grief is it's addressed, but I don't think enough. And so that's why that's why I'm gonna have this conversation. I'm just gonna read what I found like grief to be an explanation of. The explanation of grief, which is like grief is like the ocean. It comes in waves, ebbing and flowing. Sometimes the water is calm, and sometimes it is overwhelming. All we can do is learn to swim in grief. So I just want to ask anyone here, if they're willing, what experiences of grief that you've had. And mind you, grief doesn't only be it's not only faced in like some circumstances of death, but grief is also can be around a lost relationship, with a friendship that suddenly broke because something happened. But grief can also be experienced when you lose something, like something personal to you, like a coin that you really treasure. Grief is also faced like when you lose a dream or a career that you thought that this is where I want to be, but it's not where I am anymore. Anyone is allowed to.
Yeah, that's a very interesting question. I think like as you're explaining, I think I've been grieving my whole life. Now that I'm thinking about it, and like there's obviously many forms of grief, but should I be more personal? But I've been grieving. I don't know. I've grieved friendships. I've grieved relationship, and I'm also at a point where I'm grieving myself. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I'm also going through that, and also the loss of loved ones. So I'm just grieving. I think it's a journey. You never stop. At some point you think, oh, I'm done grieving, but no, you're not, until it just creeps in again and you realize, oh, I'm in that space again. It's just, I think for me, it's been a matter of controlling it, and how do I deal with it when it comes back. Do you understand? When I think, like meditate on that experience, on that feeling, on that, I don't know, but yeah, I don't know how to put it, but yeah, I've been grieving, I guess.
Yeah, I also feel like, just to echo what V said, with grieving, there's so many things that are included in grieving. So for me personally, I've grieved so many things. I've grieved the loss of my dad. I have been grieving the loss of friendships, relationships, like things that are very much valued in me. So I think, it's all about the things that you treasure the most that don't go your way. And by going your way, I mean things that you expected to go in a certain way. So for example, like losing a person, you probably expected it for the person to be there for like the longest of time. So that's like something not going my way if the person passes on. Or like the loss of a friend, a relationship, or whatever. And I mean, it can sound very stupid when you say a relationship, because it's like, it's just a relationship, like you can find someone else, but then it goes way deeper than that. Yeah.
So
I just want to put there, like, what do you guys feel about grief having a timeline?
I don't think it has a timeline. For me personally, being someone, I lost my mom when I was 3, and then I lost my dad when I was 13. People be like, yeah, it gets easier. No, because you get it. You get those days when it's like their birthday or it's Mother's Day or things like that. So even though I have like my aunts and uncle who've taken the place of my parents, it's still in the back of your mind. It's still there. And some days it's not a memory of pain, but it's also, especially with my dad, there'll be instances where I'm like, a certain smile or something I see will remind me of him. And then I get stuck in the moment and I'm like, if only I could relive. Then you catch yourself playing Luther Vandross and you're there in tears. I don't think grief has a timeline, and I think it's very problematic when people just say, just move on, especially when it comes to grieving relationships with people, whether it was a romantic one, whether it was a friendship. Friendships, I think, are the biggest one, because you can't just completely remove someone who was part of your everyday life just like that and it will just be fine. Like, I don't think grieving needs to have a timeline. Like you said in the beginning, you just learn how to swim. You learn how to swim better. You learn how to handle things better. It helps you grow. Like, sometimes it's growth that you don't want. Like, no one wants to grow not having their parent there, through grieving. Such a road that is so tough. And people are like, it's the road. There's a lot of people who travel it, but it's the road less traveled. Because there are people every day who have their parents, who have those relationships that you want to have or that you once had. But I don't know. I've tried to find beauty in grieving, I guess. Because to me, it's always a thing of, at least I had a dad who was dedicated, who was there. I had a mom who did everything possible to live as long as she could, to see her children do as much as she could. I had people who wanted to be in my life. Just life didn't allow it, but I have memories, and that's something grief can't take.
Definitely. I just want to it's just something that was made a way to me, trying to learn how to grieve with my dad. Is that it was Father's Day, and I was just thinking oh my gosh, this day it's painful. And I had a memory. I woke up in the morning and I had a memory of how last year I cooked breakfast for my dad, and I had this thing with my mom. I didn't do it for my mom because she was fasting at the time, so I couldn't do it for her. And she was like, "Oh, you love your dad more," and I'm just look in my head. You don't want to be but it's just that close companionship. And also it made me aware when I had that thought. I was like, oh my gosh, now I didn't fully understand when I said to friends, oh, I'm sorry for your loss. I didn't realize how pointless that thing was saying.
It was so easy to say, oh no, my condolences. Now it's just let me not even start with them because I know how it feels to be told that.
Exactly. It's you heard it becomes so repetitive. Every time it's oh, I'm sorry for your loss. Oh, I'm sorry for your loss. Oh, I'm sorry for your loss. But it's only now fully do you understand when you lose someone, it's the extent to how it doesn't go away. It's constantly there.
Someone is sending you a sweet message okay, my condolences, and then what?
Then what? What happens after?
Literally, just after a friend of mine also lost a dad. Now that I know I'm on some, you know what? I'm not even gonna waste your time. Just allow yourself to go through the process. Next thing you're gonna think you're fine, you're better, and then boom, it's Father's Day, and then you get reminded, people still have fathers. Someone is about to cook for their father. Someone is about to wish their father Father's Day. Then what about you?
I think also. Oh yeah, sorry. I just adding on that. I think also I find it so awkward to try and comfort someone, because I understand that there's nothing that words could only go so far, but they'll never do anything. I understand where you're coming from. So also, even myself, when someone is grieving, I really don't know what to say. It's not I'm ignorant, but in my heart I'm like, God, I know how this feels, and I hope you are there, and I hope you're comforting them. But I can only say so much, because I know even at this age, even though it was a long time ago, it is still fresh. The wound is just still fresh and still clean. It's just a matter of me every day trying to heal it, but it just never gets old. So I just understand that with grief, it is good to be there for someone, but also it's a matter of understanding that your words can only go so far. They're good, and we love that. It's a form of support, but at the end of the day, they can only go so far.
Yeah.
And then what?
I don't know if it's just me. Condolences piss me off.
Yeah. And then why?
Like, because I recently lost one of my brothers, and people are like, "Oh, my condolences," and I was like, they help with nothing. When people say condolences, it just makes me angry. Not necessarily at them, because when you hear the word condolence, it's a constant reminder of this person is gone. My condolences, this person. Condolences piss me off. Rather just like hug me, give me like a "you'll be fine" pat. Don't be like condolences.
But thing is, people don't know that it triggers you.
Yeah.
Like, to them, they're just being there. Like they feel sorry for you, and it's like, okay.
And I mean, as human beings, we also don't know like how to act. To be honest, like I've gone through like the loss of a person, of people rather, and I feel like when like every time someone says something, obviously it's frustrating and all that, but when you're now on the flip side, it's like, but actually what do you do?
What do you say?
Like what do you do? Because
hear?
you really want to show support, but how do you then show that you're supporting someone? But anyways, also I wanted to also like talk on the timeline, like grief having like a timeline or anything like that. For me, one thing I really hate is when someone tells you that time heals all wounds. That is a lie. That is absolutely a lie, because I personally lost my dad like 10 years ago, sorry. I lost my dad 10 years ago, and I thought like after I lost him, it was a thing of like everyone is like, no, after a year it passes, and I'm still here waiting for that year because it has been 10 years. And honestly, sometimes I feel like I suppress the feeling because I'm thinking, am I grieving the right way? Like, if I'm here 10 years later, I'm still feeling the pain. Is it fair to someone else who lost a person like that they're close to just a year ago? Because I'm still here. It still feels fresh. Like, sometimes I have to like work so hard on suppressing it, which is not good. But like, I have to try so hard to suppress that pain that I still feel. And it's like, because I work with people a lot and I get to talk to kids who have lost their parents or they've lost this and that, and I literally just saw it like weeks back where I'm like, actually I feel like I'm still in a point where I'm grieving because someone mentioned that they lost their dad and they started crying, and at that moment I did not think I was going to cry. But then I felt it so deep to the point that I carried it even to my place. Where when I was trying to sleep, I was out there thinking of the things that I used to do with my dad. And I'm thinking, but then this happened like years ago. Like I get to points where I even can't remember his face so clearly. But then it's like I still feel this pain. Like sometimes I have to go through my pictures and be like, oh, that's how he looked like. Because I'm just like, I don't want to get to that point where I've forgotten your face, because I'm trying to suppress this feeling of pain that if I'm still grieving you, how much more someone who lost their parents like a year ago and all of that. And the other thing was, I think on Father's Day. So Father's Day for me, I always just, I just don't put it in my head. Like I'm just like, I remember telling my cousin when she was like, oh, it's Father's Day today on Sunday, and I was like, yeah, but like what does that mean to us? Because we don't have fathers, so I mean we shouldn't even consider that. But then I was just reflecting, and I was thinking that ever since my dad died, on his birthday I cancel it. Like when I say I cancel it, I don't even want to think about it. Like I try by all means to distract myself. On Father's Day, I try by all means to distract myself, but this time around, unfortunately, it had to fall on a Sunday where I'm not doing anything. And I'm just like going through people's statuses, and I'm like, oh, other people have fathers. And I'm here not posting anyone. And I was just going through like the old pictures of my dad, and I'm like, wow, like how do you feel if I'm not posting you on this day? Because if I'm not posting you, it means that I'm forgetting about you. Like I'm just not doing anything. And I remember just posting that Father's Days and your birthdays are like the hardest for me. And they're really hard. Like in as much as I suppress it, like someone who does not know me, they'll think that, oh yeah, she probably like has gotten over this. Like she's now
I
fine.
was like, she's
That's
dealing with
really-
it way better. Because the only reason I posted on that day is after I saw your status, I was like, Patsy, it's okay. You know, it's okay.
I try not to
remember
post
them.
it, but I'm like,
Yeah, you suppress it a lot.
Because you know, at the same time, I don't know about you, but I always feel this thing of guilt. So it's like I don't wanna suffocate you with my pain, so I won't discuss it, and I rather make you laugh with things about things that we can laugh at, rather than just like, oh, okay, you know what, today I'm not feeling okay, but I can't show you that I'm not okay because you also need me and I need you. It's like
That's the
like I
thing.
feel bad. I was like, I don't wanna make you feel bad.
And that's why we
like you get to a
suppress it.
point where you're like, okay, I'm not okay, but I can't keep on telling people I'm not
I'm not
okay.
okay.
People have their
Yeah.
own burdens to carry, and at the same
Exactly.
time, when you try and tell them, oh, this is how I feel, so some, oh, you get better.
And
Oh,
you're
I
like,
thought
no,
by
why
now.
is this?
No.
And then when someone actually, there's like times where someone actually comes to you to actually find out how you're doing, and you tell them the last time was okay, I don't remember, and they're like, I thought maybe that's the problem. You seeing me do this doesn't mean I'm okay. I can't get over this. There are days where I'm like, I just wake up because I have to get things done. I just want to get the day over and done with. There was Mother's Day. It usually was a big day for me because then my stepdad would like cook and what's so not for my mother, and then my mother, like, it was those special days like Father's Day, and then it's I forgot about, I knew there was a Father's Day this month, and then I saw it on my laptop. I think it has like holidays. Like I was studying, you know, I was focused, and then I saw Father's Day. I'm like, okay, I'm done.
Like,
Yeah.
Like it just constantly reminded me, nah, this is not it. Then you go on people's statuses on some, no, lucky people, this, that. And then you're like, should I post? Should I not? And then it becomes late and you actually decide to post, but then you don't want to leave your room. You're just there celebrating Father's Day alone, thinking about everything you could have been doing on that day. Next, again, I'm like, okay, after Father's Day, then what? It's his birth month next month. And then it's just, I know the day is going to come. I know this is how I'm going to be feeling. It's like, you expect, okay, today this is how I'm going to be feeling. There's nothing that will make me feel better until the day ends, and then maybe tomorrow will be better. So
I think also what happened to me, I think for so long, it's been years, I think 10 years also, since I've been grieving my mom. So I think throughout the whole time, I've been so good. I really do commend myself for keeping up with that. I was just like, we don't speak about that, and we just, you know, when you've just managed to just suppress something, just put it in the corner, like, okay, even when people mention, it's just like, okay, I just answered that and I'm over that. But this year something happened, and like really with that encounter, it really did dawn on me that, you know, you are still grieving in as much as you can say, because we went out with my friends and then we're just like, you know, eating and stuff. So I don't know, they're talking about their parents and like, oh, my mom is this age, and I'm like, it's fine. And then they started asking me, they're like, how old is your mom this year? Because I'm trying so hard not to count. I'm trying so hard not to remember the birthday. And someone is asking. And I said, I don't know. They're like, but no, like, think about it. How old? I'm like, okay. I really don't know. They're like, so you really don't know? Like, when was she born? I went, okay, now I'm like, okay, now they're pushing it. And I understand because I'm not that person who talks about my emotions and stuff. I just deal with it on my own. So I do know that some of them were not aware. But, like, when they were just kept on asking, we just pushed. And then I started like tearing up and it was a restaurant. I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna embarrass myself. So I remember just getting up and going to the bathroom, and I'm like, I just broke down, and I'm like, oh my God, so it still hurts even today. Like, what am I gonna do so it never gets better? So like, that's when I actually realized, Guti, there's no such thing as time heals, because it really doesn't get better. Like, such a silly thing, like how old I'm still, like, my heart is still aching over that, and I'm just like, grief is just a lot, and I don't think people do understand. Like, I think people are like, oh, we didn't know, we pushed that button, oh, maybe we should have. But it's just like, it's really a sensitive thing. So it's really a sensitive thing to push someone, to get someone to talk about that. Or like, I think if don't try and go there with me if you don't know what you're invoking. Don't ask me how are you if you don't want to see me break down, because what are you going to do when I start showing you those scars? Because it's really deep. So it's a matter of just like asking, like, let's get over it. Don't say, oh, but how was your, like, just don't take me down that road if you can't handle it. Because people do that, and then they just put us in a dark place, because after they leave, they're like, oh, you'll be okay. And then so you have nothing to offer. And as soon as you leave, I'm breaking down. You've awakened something, because now I'm left in my own. I'm in a dark place again, and I'm crying. And it's just like, we always have to learn to cope with grief. So when someone comes and brings it up, like, oh my God, you know, you're doing so well. Like, oh, you look like your mom.
Yo.
I had
Family
one
does that.
Yeah, I had one incident where I had to go on a job so usually my dad would take this worker to go around and everything. So I remember arriving to the office and the guy, because the guy had just learned about my father's death and the whole office and that company knows him. So then he trusts his phone in my face and he starts playing a recording of my dad's voice. And I just remember just going, yeah, like I don't know how to react. Like I'm still dealing with. He just trusts the phone. I was like, oh my god, this guy
Does he know what he's doing?
know what he's doing. And I'm just like, so it's like it comes up to my next point. Is like, what have people done that they didn't know that hurt you, or what shouldn't people say or do to people who are grieving?
That list goes a long.
That's a long list.
What have people
That's a
done?
long
So I think for me and my family, we speak about it. Like it's not similar to you guys where you don't speak about it. Cause like my uncle looks exactly like my dad, and they were like best friends, like all my uncles and aunts. So it's a common conversation, and also my siblings and I believe in speaking someone back to life. Like keeping them alive through their name. Like
That's good.
yeah, like I'll speak about my dad. And usually when I don't like meeting new people, because when you have to explain the dynamics of your parents, because you know people push.
Yeah.
So I always say I have two sets of parents, right? And people who latch on very quickly, I'm very grateful for, who'll be like, okay, I'm not gonna press. But then you get the people who are like, how does that work? And so I have to be like, oh, two are angels now, and they're like, oh, I'm sorry, like, yeah, don't do that. Don't do that. Just be like, I remember I once met this guy who was like, okay. And I was expecting the no, I'm sorry. I was like, okay, cool. And I don't know why I was so disappointed in him not saying no, I'm not. But I never pointed it out. And I was like, I'm just so used to it. I'm so used to people saying it over the years, like, oh, I'm sorry. So when this one person was like, okay, that's cool.
It's uncomfortable.
And I was like, yo, why aren't you pressing so I can like go at you?
Yeah.
So for me, when it's like things that people shouldn't say, it's it will get better. No, sweetheart, let's not do that.
How do you feel about you're so strong?
Yo.
You're so strong. Okay, when if like it depends. Like if my current parents say it or my siblings say it, I really take it. I'm like, thank you, because they went.
They understand. Okay.
Like people who went through it with me, who were like, you're so strong. I'll take it. But I really don't like when other people who barely know me are like, oh, you're so strong. How do you know that? How do you know I'm not just putting up a front? It's not just like a facade. Like no one wants to speak about their parent who passed away. Like no. Like in my group of friends, we have like there's three of us whose dads passed away. So we call it's such a horrible name. We call ourselves the Dead Dad Club. Right? Amongst ourselves. No one else knows about it.
I mean that's cool, it's among you then.
Yeah, like my friend Banele's dad passed away, and so we were like, welcome to the club. Right. And so but for him his dad was like the minister who passed away, Ntembu. So for him it was a very public thing. Whereas I think similar to me when my dad passed away, just in the sense of how he passed away, like everyone knew. Everyone knew, so there was no
you don't have
privacy. So I don't like how did he pass? I don't want to talk about that. How did your mom pass? Like I don't want to talk. You don't know me well enough. So it's the be strongs. It's those bumper sticker like you'll be okay. It's a small little band-aid to a humongous. Don't do that. Just be like okay.
For me, it's do you miss him?
What
do you expect? What do you expect? Do I miss him? Then what? If I tell you yes, then what?
Are you gonna bring him back?
That's my thing. Are you gonna bring him back if I tell you yes?
Yes, I miss him. Are you gonna do a magic trick?
Literally? What's the point of that question? Because if I tell you yes, then what? You're gonna say okay.
But then remember, people who usually say that are people who don't know. Like I know I'd say that to someone before, but then now, like, you know what you want someone to say to you, so you know what you'd say to someone.
Yeah.
So also this thing of, I never used to talk about it at all because, like, it's only the friends at home that know I had a relationship with this person. So coming back here to raise, and it's like, oh, new people, we just met last year. It's like they probably won't understand. But then it got to a point where I like kind of broke down, and then they saw me crying for the first time. Then they're wondering what is the cause. So then I had to like explain, okay, this is this and this is this. Okay, cool. And then you get someone saying, oh, you've been quiet, you haven't been chilling with us. What's wrong? Like, they're taking their time to find out what's going on. Then you don't talk, but then you're like, okay, maybe, you know. Then you tell them everything. And then you think, okay, maybe after that, someone would be like, okay, let me check if she's still fine. Let me check. But then they still expect you to be the normal you. Just right after explaining, I can't be myself because this and this and this. In my head, I'm like, I just took my time. I explained why I'm not myself. I'm thinking maybe now you see the light, but then it's like,
Cut them out.
Same complaint. So, you know, I was like, okay, I got to a point where I'm like, you know what? It's my burden to carry. If you're interested in finding out if I'm okay, and then what? So
also,
it's like,
don't put a time frame on how much time I need to take for me to get fine after I told you that I'm not okay.
Okay, yeah.
Literally, if I'm gonna tell you this in the morning, don't expect me to be fine tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like, if it's gonna take me the whole month, me not being myself, then let me be.
Yeah.
Like,
you don't owe
I think-
people being okay.
Exactly.
Which is something society tries to normalize. Like, you have to be
Like,
okay.
you need to be okay.
Yeah.
Like, it's been a month. Why are you still not okay?
Like,
Yeah,
why,
exactly.
Jan? I
like,
think
oh,
it's...
is it the same thing? I thought by now, like,
What
And
do you mean?
Like, movies romanticize
They
just
romanticize-
bouncing back.
exactly.
They really do.
goodness,
They really do.
Bouncing back.
And
Yes, sorry.
and I think it's very problematic how they expect you. Like, even now, I think if some people are listening to this, they're like, oh, they're just angry, grieving people. It's been a long time, 10 years, and they're still speaking like
been
that.
3
It's not our
months.
problems that we don't know. But at the end of the day, I think it goes to this thing of saying, like, as a person, when you ask, it's just like applying the same basic rule. Be kind and stop being naive. Some people are just like, okay, how are you? Like, the way that you said it, that if you explain it to me and then I'm just like, oh, okay, I'm sorry, and then I move, why did you even ask me?
yeah.
Like, I'm not expecting you to like hug me or something, but then
Like, there
don't
must be
ask
a
me
difference
something and then
between someone who knows the truth and someone who thinks you're okay because they don't know what's going on. Like,
Exactly.
you must see, okay, this one knows, hence is reacting to this like this, and this one doesn't know, hence they just, you know.
Yeah,
But
and
then-
and I think for me, what I don't like hearing, I think with family, it's easy for us to, you know, bring my mom's memory back to life because they understand, just like Gugu said, that it's like we understand, we went through all of that together. But now when it's just like, there's just some family members that are so extended, and then they'll look at you and just tell you things like, you were never there even when it happened. You just, I saw you at the funeral, and then that was it. Now you coming here, you telling me that I'm strong and that I've got this, that I look like it. Why are you doing that? At least if you have a relationship with me and you've seen my growth, and then you're saying you really are strong because you've been making a follow-up on that, but you've never called. Now that you're seeing me after a few years, now you're telling me I'm strong. Like, really? How strong am I? Because I last saw you at the funeral. You don't know what went down after that. You don't know if I've been having nightmares and traumas and breakdowns, if I've been going through psychology and stuff. So I think people are so insensitive, and also we are meant to accept that they don't know. Do you understand? For
That is
us,
upset,
like, they don't
actually.
understand our pain. It's just like, we don't know, so you can't just
You
say
can't
that to
get
people.
angry.
You can't get angry at people who don't know. But what
No, but
about
then
being
it's okay,
considerate?
you know.
I've been doing that though. I've been like, they don't know, so I don't wanna push that
But
burden.
for me, it's
No.
like, what about being considerate? I'm not saying that you should know, but some things just, it's a matter of logic. Thinking
Yeah.
that
No,
as
but
long
this
as I'm
is
about to
true.
ask something, I need to be careful what I'm invoking. As soon as I tell, like, even if you don't know, but don't ask a question if you're not ready for that. Even if you don't know what's wrong, but don't say what's wrong if you don't want to hear, and if you're not willing to be sympathetic towards what I'm about to tell you. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Because someone might ask you, how are you? But they really don't want to know. They want you to say, fine, then we move on to
And
the
then
next
we move to
topic.
the next
And that
topic.
is just
No.
so not fair. At least if you ask me and you're really willing to follow up.
Yeah.
We're not blaming people,
Yeah.
but I'm just trying to say that ask something with intent. You
Yeah.
understand?
Intent to listen, to
To listen
understand,
and
and not
understand and be
intent
there
to
for
listen
me.
to answer.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yo,
But then
yeah,
sometimes I
yeah.
don't need an answer.
Yes, I
Sometimes
just-
you just need to listen.
Just
the
listen.
thing.
Easier
Yeah.
to
Fully.
listen.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that question of they don't know,
Yeah.
there was a time where I'm like, okay, I'm not talking to anyone because clearly I spoke to them. I literally told them every little thing they want to know. I think they want to know, but then nobody's still following up. So I'm like, okay, they're doing wrong by not following up after I've opened up to them. But then in my head, they're not wrong from their side. Well, I think they're wrong, but then from their side, they're not wrong because they don't know what was expected of them after I told them.
Yeah.
I get
And
you.
thing is, none of them has ever went through this. So it's like, okay, low-key, I'm mad at them. I thought maybe they'd be there for me. But then thing is, they didn't do me wrong because it's not like after telling them, I'm like, okay, now that you know I'm expecting you to do this and this and this and that.
No,
Yes, I understand, but then if you still tell them after that, like it's a matter of communication. I know it's not easy telling someone, okay, I expected you to do this for me and this, but then if you were able to reach out to them and tell them and they still didn't do it, I feel like, okay, lately I feel like I'm disconnected to like a lot of people and I'm not bothered because it's not like any of them are playing the role I thought they'd be playing. So it's like, you know what, if I'm losing people, if I'm losing stuff,
this
whatever,
one's just getting me.
Yeah.
it's fine
I think
because
for
I'm
us-
focusing on myself. And then if it's not me, if I'm worrying about friendship, I'm worrying about saving my academics, I'm worrying about getting up, not feeling,
I think for us, what we're trying to say is that we are not, it's not like we are putting out an outcry for help. So when you come to my space and you want me to tell, it's not like I don't expect anything from anyone. In fact, I've been through this alone and I'm able, but just don't come to my space and invade that and then not like bear the burden. Do you understand? I'm not looking like, I don't need a shoulder to cry on. I've been okay on my own. But simply, as soon as you cross that line to say, I want to know, be ready. Don't just come and invoke things and then you turn away. It's not a matter of expectations, but don't come to me. Like, don't cross that line if you're not ready to bear that. If you're not ready to say, now that I know, should I constantly check? Like, if you don't, like, I've been okay. Remember, I've never come to you and say I'm not okay. So you are crossing that line by asking me. Now that I'm telling you, you need to step up, because it's not like we're looking for a shoulder to cry on, but it's a matter of responsibility. Don't ask something without intent, because then you are invoking. It's so wrong. Like, it's not like we're saying we're blaming people. But even if you don't know, like, it's okay if you don't know. The fact that I've never come to you and say, Gugu, I'm going through this. Like, but as soon as you say, oh, V, you never speak about your mom, what's wrong? And then I start telling you, you can't just now turn away, like, because you invoked
just go.
something. You can't.
You're
No.
in.
Why did you even, Why did you even cross that line? Because it's not like I came knocking and saying. It's a different story if I come and say, and I'm saying, Patsy, I need someone to talk to. I'm really feeling like this. Then in that case, I can't expect anything because I came with the burden and I offloaded to you. But if you come to me, it's a different ball game, because you're the one who crossed that line to come to me. I was okay on my own. I was dealing with it the same way that I've been dealing with it. So it's not a matter of like we want to shift blame or we're trying to say, no, we understand that people don't know, but don't cross that line if you're not ready.
Like, now that we're having like a discussion, it's like, what would you have preferred, like your friends or family members to comfort you? Like, how would you expect someone, now that you've gone through it, how do you expect someone to help you to grieve? Like, what can they do?
Zanzibar. I'm joking. I'm joking. I just needed humor.
Take your time. There's this thing of, like you're just bumping into someone, you're going somewhere. Oh, you okay? We're in the middle of the road. If I was to say I'm not okay, you're gonna turn back and come listen to me. Then someone will tell you, when we ask you if you're okay, you're always okay. Like, okay, if I was to tell you I'm not okay, you're gonna stop going to DH and come to listen to me. Come to me, no wanting to find out if I'm okay. Like, come and be like, okay, I came to check up on you. How have you been doing lately? Then you can't lie and say you're okay. There's literally no way you can lie. Then you tell someone, you go deep or whatever, you talk. Listen to what I'm about to say. Like, there's a lot to say. If when you're going through something and someone finally asks you, it's like, okay, I have a lot to say. Let me say all of it. Then you say it. Don't feel sorry for me. That's one thing for me. Don't see me tomorrow and see me as if, like you see me as someone who's struggling. I haven't eaten in a month. Like, don't feel
no, sweetheart, no.
If there's anything I hate, don't feel sorry for me. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like people look at you differently. Like, okay, I just told them this.
When you confide,
Now, 2 minutes, Nyana, even if you're just doing this because you're tired, it's as if, are you
now you're an egg.
I understand it's coming from an innocent place, but like, don't feel sorry for me. If anything, don't feel sorry for me. And then also another thing, just come listen to me. Okay, I don't talk and I don't really like blame the people around me for not knowing whatever. But then I always wish someone could just walk in on me crying, because I can't unprovoked go to someone. But if you're walking on me crying, then at least maybe. But the thing is, it never happens, and I'm on some.
Yeah.
Sweetie, this isn't the movie. Like, no one's just gonna walk in. Like, because people have manners. Exactly. People are gonna knock. Like, hey, Patsy, we need you to confirm the
At least
budget.
knock and let me cry loud.
Like for me personally, I've gotten to the point where it's an old conversation. The people who need to know.
Yeah.
I don't like publicizing my grief.
Thank you.
If I tell you there's a reason I'm telling you. It's either I trust you, or like I feel like we can share this. Not necessarily share grief, but share the experience.
Yeah.
Because people make sharing grief seem so toxic. Like, no, we share this experience. Can we at least communicate it like someone else gets it? And it doesn't matter if it happened yesterday or 10 years ago, 20 years ago. You still lost someone. I hate when people try to like minimize the fact that someone is still missing in the picture. Doesn't matter if it happened like the day I was born or no. There's a piece that is missing, and because of that, you have every right to grieve. So for me personally, I don't talk about it. Like there's no need to talk about it. I'm for one someone who speaks like I said. So I'll speak about my dad in the present tense. Like oh, he would have been so proud of me, because that's like a true statement. Like
True, yeah.
like I won't lie, like he out there bragging in heaven. Like, do you see this one? My mom's there, like that's our kid. Like
Period.
Those who know. And the thing that I love about the people who know, there's no oh Gugu, but I never really got the stop. Like I'm not really sure what happened. Like there's no need for you to know what happened. You just know that there's a puzzle that was here and now it's gone somewhere else. And so for you, I think just because you don't speak to your friends, like you don't really open up, maybe that's why curiosity comes. But also people deal with their own things, so I fully understand why people won't be like, oh, are you doing la da da. But it still goes back to the you liked things, you came to ask me, I opened up. Now you must now you must carry on. Now you know. But also like we must sit and honestly look at it like you're a whole human. You know someone's going through grief. I understand that you're going through your own thing. It doesn't take you 2 hours to be like, so how are you feeling after our conversation?
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about it? Do you just need a hug? I prefer like giving people hugs personally than talking about it, because talking about it just makes me want to cry.
Yeah.
And I don't like crying in front of people, so now I won't cry here with you. Now you have me messed up. Now I'm gonna go cry in my room. That's gonna be some whole sad stuff. I'll be like, why? You know. And I don't like wallowing in
I think
sadness.
that's important, that your friends know when to give you space, but also just when to intrude it at times.
Yeah.
It's like take me away from the mundane life. What I love about my friends is what they've been doing is that they have conversations with me, or they'll be like, okay, fine, let's go out, and it actually helps me. It's like, okay, fine, take me away from the space that I feel right now to kind of deal with it. It's just like those small efforts allow me to deal with whatever going on in life and kind of distract me from them. So that I appreciate.
Personally, every time I go out in public, there's always something that will remind you. The other day, I saw someone that resembles him. The same head he used to have. I literally closed my eyes because I'm like, okay, I probably want to see someone like him, but it can't be true. Then I opened them. And then I'm like to my friend, tell me you're seeing this person that's wearing this and this and this. They're like, yeah, sure, why? I'm like, okay, I'm not crazy.
Oh yeah, that's happening.
I'm seeing someone that resembles. I'm not going out in public again.
Nah, it's gonna keep happening.
Like, yeah, I know, but it's just like,
to it. Patsy's like, what the hell are you talking about?
I don't want to.
No,
I don't want to.
it happens. Like I've had so many instances where I've gone up to people who looked exactly like my mom.
It's amazing.
And I'd be like, and they look exactly like my mom. And
me,
it's
like,
triggering.
oh, okay, there's
I
someone
feel
like
like
it, but
really
it's not
triggering.
him.
I feel like for you, because your wound is still very fresh. I don't know. For me, I've really, I don't want to say I've accepted it. Like you have to accept it, but I've gotten to the point where I'm only gonna see them. For me, I'm a spiritual person.
Yeah,
I only see them at the end of my life when my curtain is closed.
Yeah.
So I get used to instances. And also, my dad now looks exactly like my actual dad. So every time I speak to him, every time I'm on the phone, or like when I see photos, it's just like, bah, bah.
Sure.
But
Yeah,
it's yeah.
For me, I feel like I actually saw a person who looks like my dad for the very first time, and I think that was like earlier this year, and it shocked me. I was on some. What if he's alive? Like that is literally
Maybe
the first
it's
thought
him,
that
like-
came to me. Like that. What if he's alive and we did not bury the actual person?
Yeah.
I even had to text my cousin and I was like, you know what? I saw someone who looks like exactly like my dad. And then I started talking and I was thinking, I'm like, what if he's alive? What if he has a family somewhere else? Would he come for me? Like all those things. It's like I get into a place where I'm just crazy because of lack of word. I'm gonna use crazy because I don't know how I'll be thinking of all those things because we buried this person.
Yeah,
I
like,
saw
but
the
then you
face
still
of
like,
that
no,
person,
it can't be true.
but like this
Logic
person
leaves
is
the-
looking
the
exactly
chat
like
when it comes to grief.
like
It really does.
Logic leaves the chat when it comes to grief.
it really does because oh my goodness. But anyways, I wanted to speak to what you were asking, that if like how do you want people to show support, or like what do you want them to say? For me, I don't know, honestly.
Yeah.
Like
honestly,
I literally don't know. But one thing I know is that you need to be able to read the signs, like the non-verbals, those ones that we can't read. Me, I'm expecting you to read them because honestly,
plan.
I'm gonna show you that I don't want to talk about this.
Yeah.
I need you to
Like
be
one thing about me is that if you ask me like, are you okay, I'm gonna tell you I'm fine. As for me,
Yeah,
I'll tell you I'm fine.
that's a norm.
Under whatever circumstances, I'll tell you I'm fine.
We'll laugh and smile the same day.
We'll laugh and smile. That's my thing. And the thing is, like, I hate that about myself, but then I would not be able to like verbalize what I'm feeling. So I honestly don't know how I want people to know. But then
You expect
all I know is that on the flip side, when I don't want to talk about it, you should be able to read that.
Yeah.
Because if you're gonna ask me, so for example, like when you're meeting new people and then they ask me, oh, so yeah, where's your mom? I'm like, oh yeah, my mom is at home. And where's your dad? Oh, my dad passed on. And then you wanna ask like, what happened? And because I answered that so quickly, I expect us to move as quick as I answered.
yeah.
Oh,
Because
okay.
Like, really.
if I said my dad passed on, like literally we have to move.
It's
Then
a full
we are
stop,
moving.
not a comma. Like it's a
It's a full stop. It's literally not a comma. Like if I need you, like if I need to talk to you about that, I'm gonna get to the place where I'm talking to you about
Like
that.
the right
About
place
it,
and the right
Because
Yeah.
like literally I told you that my dad passed on, but then at that very moment when I told you, I did not get into detail. It's only when I trust you enough to bring you in my space
Yeah.
that I'm
Thank
going
you.
to confide in you and tell you each and every single detail that happened.
People feel entitled.
They feel entitled, and I don't owe you that. I literally
I really
do not
don't
owe
owe
you
you
that.
to tell you how my parent passed away. Like it's such a weird thing for you
Like,
to want me
literally.
to tell
What are you gonna do after?
If I tell you very fast he passed on, okay, I'm sorry about that, or whatever you want to say, but like say it as quick as I said it,
Yeah.
and you're gonna say I'm sorry about it, I'm like, okay, cool, and we move on.
Yeah.
I
So
think
the other
I think
food.
also-
Only you
Like,
know
exactly.
who you can tell and who you can trust with the whole truth.
Yeah.
I think
Some
al-
deserve to know 2%, some this,
Some
but you
like-
know who deserves the whole truth.
I think
Because everyone is your friend and you know which friend is
There's
how
levels
not
to
to.
friendship.
Oh, I don't
Yeah.
really
Levels,
that.
levels.
That
Like,
everyone.
levels.
That's maybe your first mistake. Not everyone's your friend. Not everyone
No.
deserves to know. Like people can be acquaintances. Like
you.
people, you can like, especially in res, people get comfortable. Like, yo, I'll greet you, but we're not friends.
yeah.
Like,
You can even come to my space, but we're
yeah,
not friends
we're not
yet.
friends. We're only friends if I'm getting in and I'm like, yo, I know how you feel. Like when your dad passed away, I was like, I know how you feel. That's when we're friends. When I'm going to like tell you things and you and I are sharing things. But because I greet you or I ask you how you are,
Doesn't.
it does not
Validate
mean we're
anything.
friends. Because besides the hellos and goodbyes, what do we know of each other?
Nothing.
So maybe you need to stop making everyone your friend, because now you're expecting everyone to be like, hey, da da da, and people don't
I get
care.
what she's saying.
For me, I
People
feel
don't
like you have to
I
put
never-
physical boundaries also.
But
Because
yeah.
for me, like it's like a thing of I'm not gonna allow you in my actual room if I know that I don't want you to be that close to me. Like
Yeah.
I am so particular like with who I bring to my room.
Yeah.
Like people are like, oh, but like, you know, even sleeping over at someone's place, I am so uncomfortable with that. Like if you see me sleeping in your bed and I can snore, then you can tell I'm comfortable.
That's important.
But like if I can't, because like there's this one time when I had to stay, like I had to go visit a friend, and then the friend is like, you can sleep over. I'm like, No, like
No,
we
I
had
wanna
to
go
fight
home.
over that.
Like we're not there.
Literally.
Jackie.
And because of this lockdown thing, I had to sleep there. But trust me, at 4 a.m. I was up and I ordered an Uber and I left. That's how much I'm not comfortable. Like my space is very sacred. Like literally, if I have to bring you in my room, that is literally.
That's something I learned this year.
Yeah.
Because when I lived in Varietas, when I lived in Varietas, almost like anyone could come into my room, and I was like, you see how Varietas is? Like, you have your kitchen, you have your... And so when I moved into the new res that I live in, it's like just my room, because there's a kitchen there, the whole way there. And so first and foremost, the new res I live in is such a depressive space. Like the color coordination is like prison. It's like gray on gray. Like who makes gray on gray? Gray on gray on gray. Like it's dumb. Wow. So I also, just a lot of things happened where I was like, I don't like just having anyone just come to my room, and my job entails people just knocking whenever, like hi Gugu, da da da. So I started this rule where I was like, it's such a personal space. Like if I let you in my room, I'm letting, like, if I let you in my room, you know my parents have passed away. That's kind of like the standard.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
You know my parents have passed away. That's where I'm at with you.
Okay.
If I'm letting you in my room, can't just be letting, because some people come into your personal space. Like some people will ask you questions like that to evoke emotion, because people feed off it. And that's something we don't talk about. People enjoy saying, oh, I'm so sorry for your loss. And you're like, oh, thank you, you're such a good friend. People feed off you calling them a good friend.
Imagine
people
that.
feed off you.
Imagine
And
that.
it's something that I learned this year. Like people take actual gratification, like off things like that. And we can even talk about like how sick it is. But you understand? So some people will ask you, not because they care about you, because they want you to answer in a way that will make them
validate
good about themselves.
now,
Now
you trust me. Now you trust me because I know
I'm a good person.
And now I'm a good person. That's something I learned this year, which really, it shook me, because you obviously you don't think, oh, people are like that, but when you see it play out, this is why I'm so big on, like, if you have your certain set of friends, you need to know each other to the max. Can't just be like
T, literally.
And the thing about living in a place like you live, Tati, it's so easy for everyone to be like, oh, we chill, everyone's just trying to act like your friend. But guys, we live amongst people who feed off your grief, who feed off your sadness, because it makes them feel better. And you'll never know, because you're stuck in your grief. You're thinking, she's trying to be a good person, but once they've gotten what they want from you, they never ask again.
They withdraw.
They withdraw
so quick.
They pretend like they didn't just hear the saddest part of your life, and then they'll greet you the next day like, "Oh hi, how are you?" Like, did I miss something? Did we restart on life?
Like, why are you looking sad? Why am I looking sad? What do you mean?
Now you want me to say that in front of people again, and like
that's my thing. And you're asking me in the dining hall.
Exactly, but we
we would get physical. I know I'm drunk, but we would get, if you were like, why am I not? After I told you, now you want to publicly put out my sadness for people to feed on, for people to tweet about, for people to text about each other.
Like, okay,
on WhatsApp.
see, I'm sad, but like, wait for the right moment. Oh, were you feeling that way?
No, the right time.
The right time. Like, read the room.
Important. Yes.
There's only so much you can't read a room, and like, you're not gonna ask me about my dad in the dining hall. Like,
and
I'm standing
when
in
it
line,
was just the two of us in confidence. So that is
in a queue, bro, to get your
food. We're not even sitting down. And this maybe would give you...
Gugu, how did your dad pass away again? Like, what? I'm trying to get chicken, bruh. Like, chicken and rice. Not even like a decent good meal. Like, now you trying to... Now you want to...
How do you even do that? How do you even
but
do
like,
that?
like, how did like grieving affect you guys personally? Like, maybe like some people don't know that your body is allowed to change through grieving. That you can gain or lose weight. But also it's like your social status also, like the fact that you may not answer messages the same pace that you used to.
Can I
like
just...
you examples of like when you
was the lecture,
yeah. I think for me, I think because it happened when I was young, And I think from that moment I had to say, what does this mean for me? Because I used to live with my mom, my twin brother. It was just the three of us. So then I asked myself, what does this mean? Like literally after the burial, when like I found time to be alone. I think I was 11 at the time. I was like, what does this mean? Like, she's just the peeler. She's like, I have a dad who's just out there doing his own thing, and it's cool. But like, now that my anchor is not here, what does that mean for me? And then I think I came to that understanding that, okay, people are, like, I think my mom, before she passed, like, we spoke, and she said that, you know, the people that show you love, then you do that now that I'm around. But watch it when because my mom was sick before she died. So she told me, I think she did prepare me that you'll see people circling back on you. You'll see people distancing themselves. People who were my best friends, you will see that and be ready. She's like, even family members will do that. So I really hope that, like, I want you to learn to be strong and like be able to be so independent on your own. And I think that really did shape me, because then even when I felt like my family did not understand what I was going through, I'd like withdrawn, like, okay, my mom did say, so I think this is the time where I'm like, I should be strong, because she was like, whatever doesn't kill you, it will only make you stronger. So then for me, I started stepping into my purpose and into my independence, because from that moment, because I'm the only girl and I have brothers, she was like, now that I'm gone, you will be the mother. Even to your older brother, you're the female, you will be the mother. So you need to step up to that, and you guys have each other. So I'm like, I don't like this talk, because you're going to be so well. You know, you will be healed. So I don't like this talk. But I think she knew, and like as soon as she prepared me for that, then I understood, and it made things easy for me, because even now growing up, I do not expect anything from anyone. And I'm at a point of independence that, you know what, now, my mom was able, and now that she's not there, she gave me so much love that I still carry it with me. Even years later, I still feel that love, I still feel that embrace. So I think for me, grief, it is sad. Sometimes when I think about it, it's sad, but when I think back on the lessons that I've been taught, I'm just like grateful, and I know that I need to be strong, not to trust people, because what she said really did happen. Like, I saw the best friends at the funeral, then done, like, they promised things, don't worry, da-da-da.
We'll be there.
We'll be there. And I only saw them at the funeral, even family members. So it was just like,
they disappeared.
People do this.
And they disappear. That's what disappearing.
People will disappear.
Like magicians.
You see them at the mall, like,
and gone.
And they act, even when they see you, they don't act puzzled or anything. Like, they've seen like
they,
hi, how are you? You look so beautiful. You look like your mom. That's the chat. They go like,
so what?
And you're like, I haven't seen you in like plus 10 years. What do you mean? Last time you saw me, I was a toddler.
Literally.
For me, things like that. The friend parts, because I've like had the same friends since I was a kid. I still have them till this day. Yeah, because we've gone through multiple friends, like grieving one of our classmates, grieving parents. So we've gone through a lot that tried to shake the foundation, but it was built on some strong things. So for me, when it was my dad's funeral, just because of who my dad was in our town, just a lot of people were there. It was a lot of people. So it was hard for me to notice people who weren't there. Like my best friends, they were there. Their parents were there, because they were also friends with my dad. So it was only afterwards that I have this one aunt, my mom's sister, who didn't show up. Like, her and her husband didn't show up for my dad's funeral, and it really made my sister angry that they didn't show up. And so maybe like they spoke for a year after that, and then like they silently cut each other off. And they have like 2 daughters, like my cousins, who I started speaking to. Like, I always spoke with their kids over the years, but now it's been a thing of just trying to rebuild relationships. And so I found myself asking my sister, like, why don't you talk to these people? And she was like, why should I talk to people who went there, who didn't show up for our dad's funeral, right? Who they tried to help for like 2 seconds and then just left. Because for me, same thing. Like, my mom spoke to my sister, like, because I was like a kid. My mom spoke to my sister, and she really just ditched out the juice, like family secrets, and also just like how to handle life. Even though my dad did raise us for like 10 years afterwards, right? And my sister went to varsity and things like that. When my dad passed away, it was a thing of the social workers were there, and they were like, oh, so yeah, who's gonna take care of them, things like that. Before anyone could say anything, my sister was like, I will. And the lady was like, okay, do you have a stable job? My sister was like in her early 20s, working, and she lived in Kruger National Park, and she was working her like internship, and she was like, we'll make a plan. right?
Yeah.
So it was, for me personally, it wasn't a matter of I ever had to, we had to grow quicker. We did fully. Like when you lose a parent, you have to grow quicker.
Yeah, you really have to.
So when I lost my dad, that's when I really saw my sister and my brother and myself. Like we were such a tight unit. Like, and there were nights where I'd cry, but I would stop crying, and I actually didn't like this because I knew I'd be fine. I didn't like the sense of, even though I'm gonna cry, it's gonna be sad, I'm still gonna be fine. Like the person is gone and it's sad, and every time I talk about this, I was so angry because I still get angry now because I'm fine.
Yeah.
Like he's gone, but my sister was there. My uncle and aunt, my family, some members just were like hi for the funeral, then bye. But the ones who said they would stay, they were deeply rooted in making me a good person, in raising me. And I'll always get the, oh, you look like your mom, or you look like your dad, from the people who are still here, who were there and who are still here. So I don't know, my relationship with grief sometimes, or with failure also, with negative things, I don't like it because I can't cry for that long. I can't grieve my dad for that long because I'm like, I did turn out fine. I can't grieve my mom for that long because I'm like, her prayers are still working in my life. I'm standing on my mother's prayers, on my dad's work. So I'll be sad, and then I'm like, oh wait, but I am living what they wanted me to do. So I have such an odd relationship. So I think grief has shaped the way I view things in life, the way I view people, the way I appreciate people, because I really want people to feel appreciated, especially if you're with me. I want you, not in a sense to remember me, but to remember how I made you feel, because when I think of my dad, first thing is how he made me feel. It was safe, it was peaceful, it was a joyful thing. Even when I was getting reprimanded for stuff that I should have not been doing, I still knew, like, Dad's not going to be angry for long. You know, Dad's going to be like, okay, let's go get, like, ice cream or something. Or I'd go on field trips, so Dad would be like, okay, let's go. So I think for me, the good thing I've gained from it, not anything like physical, like that was years ago, like not anything physical. The good thing I've gained from it is just making people understand that they are appreciated. Making people understand, because my dad we once had a conversation, like a lot of people will show up at your funeral just to save face, but it's the people who keep talking about you when you're gone. You want to live a life, so people keep talking about you, not because they're trying to make you stay alive, but because they can't find a day where they can't talk about you, because you still you still have an impact. You understand? Like every time, because this semester has been very testing, every time something tried to knock me down, my sister would remind me, like, listen here, your life is based off a strong foundation. Our mother's prayers are still working. Like, and if I were to tell people my life story, it wouldn't make sense. People would be like, how are you still here? How's your family still here? Like, we've gone through some rough situations, but like the foundation I was built on, my mother's prayers, are some crazy things, guys. Got you. Also, like my parents that I have now, such selfless people who are willing to have the tough conversations with me, who are willing to try and shape me. My sister, I forever say she saved my life, because when that social worker was like, so what's gonna happen with you now, I immediately saw like, oh, I'm gonna go live in an orphanage or something like that, knowing that I have aunts and uncles, but my sister is standing up and saying she's gonna put her life on pause for me. So every time I have to grieve, I can only grieve for like 5 to 10 minutes, because it's like on a break, because I've got stuff to do. Like the foundation is like, you have other things to do. So
and just to like now we've come to the end, but if yours don't mind, like one thing you miss about them, or one memory that you always keep. For me it's just the cooking and him shouting at me the whole pandemic, let's exercise. He would literally stand up, walk in my doors, like bang bang bang. He's like, Patsy, come cook, and let's exercise. And that's just one thing I miss about him.
For me it's the long drives. Magical. Like, I literally went with my dad everywhere. Like when I say everywhere, I mean everywhere. Like literally, because my dad comes from a family where it's just boys. So I was like the first girl that she has like interacted with, like fully. I mean, obviously my mom, but like
It's never.
it's not the same.
Not
But
the
like
same
literally, like even the friends that like his friends, they still say, you were literally, that mother seat.
Yeah.
For me at home, it was redefined as the child seat. Like it was my seat because I would be with him like almost everywhere. Like
I had a shirt that said "Daddy's Girl" when I was young. So
literally.
It's same.
Yeah, but I think that's one thing for me. Like I think about it all the time. The drives.
Yeah. Anyone else?
For me, it's the always congratulating me for every little thing that I used to do. So now I'm even in a phase where I'm like, I don't even want to achieve because I'm gonna be reminded there's nobody to, be like, oh, congrats. But thing is, achievements come and you're like, okay, why are you here now? I remember this other time I was working, I was at Forest. Then I got an email saying I just applied because Kuto must apply. I got an internship. I literally, I wanted to break down right there and there, but I'm like, okay, I still have 2 hours to be here. Let me get myself together. Because it's like, okay, who do I tell now? Who do I share this with? Because then, I have a relationship with my mother, but then my mother has always been like, oh, she's smart,
Yeah.
It's bound to happen.
like,
Every time she passed,
Sure.
it's not a surprise. But then to him, he treated me as like any normal kid, not just as a smart kid. And thing is, I appreciate it so much. Okay, I'm smart, but then my hard work still counts. So like, I automatically, she's smarter than this. So it's like, okay, who do I share this with? Then I shared it with my mother, hoping to find the response I'd find from him. And then I'm like, you know what? It's never going to be the same. So let me move on. So,
I think one thing I'm still crying about now, and sometimes it makes me tear up, is the fact that I won't have him on graduation day.
Dude, I don't I'm even at a point where do I want to graduate? I've given up on my academics to a point where I'm like, where did I get DP? How? Why am I getting it? Like I don't.
Foundation.
Like I'm so scared of achieving to a point where I don't even want to do things. Like because every time I'm gonna be constantly reminded, oh, you just achieved. If he was there, you would have been texting him right now, saying this and this and that. Like he literally was the only one to text me, oh hi, how's uni? Literally every week. Nobody does that now. Whenever they think, oh, you got distinctions in matric, you're fine, you're surviving. But he literally drive me to a place where there's Wi-Fi for me to do my schoolwork. So it's like, okay, what do I do with my life now? Because I can't share anything with anyone. So just every little thing reminds me of him.
Can I go?
Yeah, you can.
So for me, I guess my dad. There's so many. I've been sitting here trying to think of one. His smile, and also the long drives. Because I didn't like staying at home, and so there was a point where my dad was a ranger, so we'd go to like these parks where he'd work with the animals. So just the long drives, me sneaking in the car, him pretending like he did not hear me eating in the back, and him driving far enough so we couldn't turn around, and just playing Wohu Masigela. And just listening and singing, just
the vendors,
like my dad just was a thing of joy, just like a being of joy. So his smile, those scenes. And then for my mom, since she passed away when I was really young, my sister told me this story. Actually breaks my heart till this day. So when my mom was in hospital, because she was really sick before she passed away, my dad took us to go see her every day, right? And so on the day she passed away, we were sitting there, and she was talking to my sister. She had my brother on one side, she had me on one side, and she was just like, just talking normal. My dad was there. And so when the doctors were like, yo, let's take your kids away, she was like, no, right? So my mom passed away holding us, and it breaks my heart. I don't like crying in front of people. I'm like not a cute crier. But it's such a. At the end, she was still holding us, bruh. Now I'm crying. Patsy really just had to make me sad about this.
Honestly.
Never doing a podcast with Patsy again.
This is the first and last.
Yeah. So even though I don't remember it, I can see it.
Yeah.
And just to know the love of that, two favorite memories. Two favorite memories. Oh. My mom was such a romantic. Oh my goodness.
So nice. Oh yeah, mine. I think I have two. Yeah, I've just been trying to think of a lot because she was my best friend since I was the only girl child. But I think the ones that like stood out for me was the stories. So my mom was full of stories. I knew everything about her. From growing up, who she dated, how she met my dad, how I was born, what I would do when I was a baby. She would tell me everything, even when she was dating, and like I think I was 10. She'd tell me about it. I'm like, who's this guy? Like we were so close, so she'd tell me everything about stories and stuff like that. So that was amazing because it built the bond. And sometimes I do encounter things. I'm like, oh, what a bummer. Even my mom almost went through the same thing. I'm like, oh, this is what she did. Even her mistakes. I look at things, I'm like, my mom flopped there and I'm not going to do that. My mom made a mistake. Because she'll tell me that this was my mistake. Instead of doing this I should have done that. And now that I'm growing up, I'm like, I don't like, she told me that for a reason. So that I don't make the same mistakes. Now I know, even with guys, she was so open that I made sure dad like this. I thought it was da-da-da. So now I know better not to go through the same thing. And one last thing, I think because at home I used to do everything. So when I was mad at my mom, I would just like not do anything. And then she used to there's this song by, who's this? Lusa, I don't know that Xhosa guy, but it would say angixolele Thixo wami ngolithemba lami mangilahla nguwe ngizoba yini kulo mhlaba. So she'd sing that to me and call my name and like ngixolele nini wami. I'd be like, oh my. So every time I was mad, I'm like, I'm not doing anything. She'd be like, so you mad at me? I'm like, call me. And then she'd sing that song like I'm nothing without you, and I'm like, okay, it's fine, I'll clean the house. Okay. So that was those are the two highlights.
Thank you everyone for participating. Oh no. I find it's funny that we can still laugh about it at times, and I think it's important to carry
get to
that.
our rooms, we won't be laughing.
Honesty.
After this is a cry session at home. Thank you for everyone participating. And for everyone that may have lost their parents, just know that you are loved, you're appreciated, and
lost anyone.
It's like we love you, bro. We love you. We out here.
We understand.
You. And thank you to our producer at the back, Mr. Clarence Ntini. Okay, thank you and bye.
Bye everybody.
Imagine if it wasn't recording.
You